time, all day. It's simple, but it makes no sense at all.
All right, the other thing I thought was really, really fun is watching parts be made on the spot sometimes. So whether it was Jeremy with the drums, who was always a really great drummer, always had great feel and had great ideas, and he always knew how to make our songs lift in a way that, like, I felt like, those songs, they were really wonderful. But then even like with Paul, there was like certain times we were trying to figure out like, well, what's the right bass line, and we didn't quite have it. And then there was one in particular, where is it? It's in Hesitation. It's the outro, right?
Yeah.
It's a really cool bass line, and Paul came up with it, but he came up with it because we asked him to think of it in a different way.
That's right, I forgot about that.
Yeah, and it's like, I heard it again when I listened to it the other day, and I was like, that's a perfect bass line for that spot.
Yeah.
It changes the song. It gives it it's a new moment in the song. I saw a really interesting interview with Sting, of all people, with Rick Beato.
That guy's everywhere.
It's everywhere. And he talked about like what he loves about songwriting, and in particular recorded music, is he wants to be surprised. He wants something to surprise him at every turn. And if a song can surprise him at every turn, it's a very successful song in his mind. And that's the thing that happens in Hesitation, is you kind of think you know what's happening as you get up to past that second chorus. And then you get into the solo, which changes a little. So a little bit of a surprise, but you kind of expect it because there's a solo coming. And then that outro bridge, things change. The bass line changes.
Yeah.
There's a vibe that gets different. My vocal, the way I deliver vocal changes. Because there was a melody for the verses, which then the outro was a different melody.
Yeah.
Kind of. It's not quite different, but it's different enough. And that kind of thinking is what's cool. And I think we actually have a lot of that in those songs.
Yeah.
Summer of Mines definitely has some turns.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think once again it's all about, it's one thing to work on the song craft and the writing and perform it live, but then, when you're in a studio, adding all these layers onto it, trying to figure out what's going to stand out, what's going to be a hook, I think are some of those things that you're thinking about, and that's where the magic really happens, where you uncover those. Like I remember one of the last parts for Similar Minds, like it was, 4:00 in the morning on day 4, and, we were like, we still need a hook to this song, and there's that, I don't know if you remember that pink paisley telly that they had, it was just like plug that in and came up with that it's just like it came out, it's just
last minute.
Yeah, and those are some of the most memorable things, right? Because you just keep uncovering.
It's the magic of being in a studio.
Yeah.
And I can see why. There are. There's great musicians, great artists have different paths, right? But when you see someone like Neil Young or Bob Dylan, or even Ryan Adams or some of these other people who just make tons of records, you can see why they do it, because there is a certain amount of being in the studio as much as you can, just breeds a certain amount of creativity.
Yeah, it's a special place.
Yeah, and I could totally see why that's, because you can write songs and you don't have to put them all out. Some people do put them all out, because I think if I write a song, great, but if I write a song and then step into the studio and try to lay it down, it gives the opportunity for that song to become the fullness that maybe it needs to.
Yeah, it's transformative.
Yeah.